Liverpool 2, Arsenal 2. It's been a couple of days now since the game, and what we're going to try to do here on the channel is we're going to try get a bit more of a reaction and show our faces a little bit more, and just talk about the game, the performances, certain players and moments, and yeah, just give our take here on the Daily Gooner podcast. So I think, yeah, what a game! I think if there's a word to describe my feeling, and I think a lot of feelings as well after Sunday's game is rare, quite rare, really. Deflation. I think there was a lot of deflation amongst the fan base. I think you've got to take the context into that, title race, the performance of the team, at the optimum level that we're performing at, and thinking that we could, we would 2-0 up and having to lost that 2-0 lead. But I think if you were to ask me, at the start of the season, of course, would you take 4 points out of 6 from Liverpool in total, home and away? And you instantly take that, don't you? Without any context, you take 4 points out of 6. And I think that's what's happened here. I think is, we've gone to Anfield, and the only team to have beaten them in the league this season is Leeds. And the only other team, I think, was Real Madrid in the Champions League. And then everyone else, considering Liverpool's seasons, I think a lot of their defeats and, the headlines that have been coming towards them is away from home is when they've lost the games, of course. Bournemouth away. Drawing to Liverpool in the first game of the season. And, the list goes on. And I think the deflation comes from being 2-0 up and then just losing control in the second half and the way we manage the game. And I think there's a few things there that we can touch on. First off, brilliant control, no nerves, very controlled and composed. And it was the Arsenal that we all sort of have gotten used to seeing in terms of feeling in control of the game and just having that level-headedness in how we use the ball and how we manage the ball. Going 2-0 up, good to see Gabriel Jesus scoring again. That's 3 goals now in 2 returns. He looks like he's back to his sharp best. And Martinelli, we knew that Martinelli versus Trent battle was always going to be a key point, really, one of the jewels of the game. But I think, the Anfield atmosphere, they were quiet, and I think they were sort of in shock in how the game was unravelling in the first 30 to 40 minutes. And I think, a lot of debate has come into this Granit Xhaka moment and the way that he reacts to Trent's push. Now, I think he's feeling a lot of heat, Granit Xhaka, and I think it's because his name is Granit Xhaka. I think because he has reacted to a push Trent caused. It's not the other way around, remember. Granit Xhaka has done nothing here. Of course, Trent has given Granit Xhaka a bit of a push. Granit Xhaka has reacted, and of course that wakes up a bit of the crowd. Now, that is not the reason why we would have dropped points in the game. There's still 60 minutes, 70 minutes of the game left to control, left to manage. It's still in our hands. A minute later, of course, they score, and that now gives the Anfield crowd belief that they're actually still in the game. And I think up to that point, they probably didn't feel like they had any grasp of the game, of where it was going. It felt like all Arsenal at that point. And I think that moment did give them a bit of belief. In the half-time break, they're coming out and doing their routine just before the Arsenal team comes out in the half-time break. And I think that gave the crowd and the team, some belief. And the way we managed the game in the second half, I think when you see your talisman, an experienced player, and Xhaka maybe just sort of lose a bit of composure, maybe that fed back into the team. They maybe start feeling a bit of nerves, maybe they're losing a bit of control. And Liverpool themselves, they've gone up another level. They want to bring up the pressure a bit. It's Anfield. They want to, they realise, our local ball Trent, you're not going to push them around, and this is Anfield. You don't get away with points here. So that's what's happened naturally. They've ramped up the pressure, and maybe we've caved back in a little bit in the way we managed ourselves. And in the end, we're probably lucky to get away with a point. If you see the XG after the game, you'll see they should have scored nearly 3.5 goals or whatever it is, and we scored our 2 goals. And at the end, Aaron Ramsdale, I think he's now sort of given a bit of a friendly reminder that he's going to be England's number 1 at one point with those saves, incredible saves. I think when it fell to Kanate at the end, I thought goal. I thought that was it, 3-2. But out of nowhere, Ramsdale claws it back out, and it gave me those sort of David Seaman vibes back in the day when he clawed the ball out of the net, making sure it doesn't go in. But I think the save before that is probably more impressive. But the second half, we just didn't manage the game. There's large parts of the game that we could have maybe controlled a bit better. And maybe the substitutions didn't help. I would have loved to have seen Kieran Tierney come on a bit early and just lock down that side. The more the game was getting stretched, the more they were attacking down Zinchenko's side. And in the reverse fixture, we saw Kieran Tierney come on earlier. We saw Fabio Vieira come on. I think we saw Eddie Nketiah come on. So we made maybe positive changes in the home game. But in this game, maybe the coaching staff felt like they needed to protect the lead. They'll take a 2-1. So they'll go 5-2-3 or 5-3-2 or whatever it was. But, a point, depending on what angle you're coming from, it's either a good point, but we don't know. We just don't know how good of a point it is. And I think Jamie Carragher said it well in a separate channel after the game. Even he doesn't know if it's a good point, whether it's 2 points dropped or a point, protected because of Aaron Ramsdale. But we'll see. I think player performances, it was good to see Gabriel Jesus score again. That's healthy. It's good to see, and it looks like he's back to his best. I think we managed him really well leading up to this game, his minutes, and he led the line really, really well. I think Trossard was unlucky to be dropped, but I think the front three of Jesus, Martinelli, Xhaka, I think that was always going to be the front three going into this game. Partey, he did okay. I thought Gabriel was a standout performer in the back four. I think that was one of his best games, and I think we keep saying that now. The more Gabriel is playing and performing in these games, we think he's having a better game than he had before. And you've got to remember that earlier in the season, giving the ball away to Fulham in the home game for 1-1 before he went on to score the winner. The penalty they gave away home to Spurs. The misjudged header home to Liverpool where it led on to Núñez scoring. He's not that player anymore, and I think that's what we have to give credit to Gabriel is his mentality. And I think the neutrals are catching on to this now, is they're now seeing the importance of Gabriel, this warrior-like mentality. He's got the talent and ability, but it's also what he possesses up here in terms of learning from his mistakes, being better in the next game. And he's been flawless, let's say, for the most part. And I think he did brilliantly at the back for us. And I thought Konate, he had a brilliant game for Liverpool. I know this is mostly an Arsenal performance, but you've got to respect Liverpool and Anfield, and to come away with a draw there, I think we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But West Ham, Southampton next up to rebuild momentum again. For Manchester City, they would have seen this as an opportunity to claw back some points. The cushion has been protecting us up to this point. And the big game now will be the Etihad away game to Man City. And there's very little room to drop points. For them, they have to win every single game, and we don't know where they're going to drop points. And when you see the games they have on paper, of course, looks winnable, but they've still got Brentford and Brighton away. Is it possible that they win every single game until the end? And if they do, fair play, because that probably wins them the league. But for us, we've got room where we can maybe drop a point or two. For City, they have to win every single game. So it's looking very exciting going into the last few games of the season. I can't believe we're in the title race still. But we know that they're going to stay, we're going to be there till the end. And let's see what comes out of it. But please do like and subscribe. We hope you liked this type of video. We'll try to do more of these. We'll come on camera a little bit more and give our take on the game. And see you very soon. It's Daily Gooner Podcast.